There you are. Anyway, once again, happy weekend. It is currently Wednesday here, but that's okay. It'll be weekend soon enough. So, just been to the thrift store. I bought a very interesting pan there. I got this thing for a brand called Pyrex. I'm pretty sure a lot of people know about that brand. I'm pretty sure most people know about that brand, but it's not super popular here in the Netherlands. At least I haven't seen too much of it in the past. But recently I found that they do actually sell the measuring cups at a certain store that tends to sell other things than kitchenware, but also some kitchen stuff. A very generic store here. And so I got a bunch of those. They're really expensive, by the way, but that's because they can be put in the freezer up to a certain temperature, and you can also put them in the oven and it'll just last at the glass. And they also have them in oven dishes, but this was an actual frying pan, so I was like, oh, this is weird. First of all, I noticed it because it was a glass frying pan and I'd never seen those before. So I pick it up and I turn it over and it says Pyrex. I'm like, oh, hey, this is probably an old pan, so I need to check out. First of all, I want it because it's Pyrex, and second of all, there might be people looking for it as well that would like to take it off my hands. I don't know. Other than that, I got some nice terracotta vases that I want to use, I think, on the balcony for planting stuff in, because terracotta is really good at managing water. If there's too much water in a terracotta pot, it'll bleed out the sides, because it's porous material, that's why. So that's very handy, so it won't get too wet in there, and then the roots won't start to rot and all that sort of thing. Got a couple of shirts, and what else did I get? A couple of small, like, jewelry things that I thought were interesting, and a couple of really small, tiny figurines. I'm not sure where they're from. It almost looks like it's from some type of nativity set, but only a few pieces. Like, it's one angel and one person sitting there that looks like they're playing a guitar or something. I don't know if that would be the case at the manger, but they're in the same set with the angel, so they look like they're made by the same company, so I think that it's supposed to be connected. I don't know. Either way, I thought they were interesting, so I thought I would bring them. And other than that, I don't think I brought too much, except for this weird lacing tool I've never seen before. This is, it looks like a couple of knitting needles, but they're put on this little plastic rack with a couple of holes in it, and you can like make them wider or broader, the space between the two needles, and then you can do some, I guess, knitting or lacing, whatever it is that they had in mind. There's like a picture of a couple of different types of vests you could make with it. I don't know how it works, but you know, it's interesting. I like to have an extra tool in my toolbox just in case I figure out how to do it, and then go, I want one of those tool things so I can actually do it myself. So just like with the sewing machine the other day, I wanted to have that just in case I wanted to start sewing, and that's what I'm doing now. And it's a really cheap sewing machine. I think it cost me no more than 30 bucks. So, and it is actually visible in the quality as well, because it tends to lose a thread quite often, gotta say. Also, it's not really the quality of the machine that's the issue with this next thing, but the little roll of yarn that you put on the back looked like it was pretty thick, but actually is mostly plastic, so that's kind of like cheating you out of a little bit of yarn so they can like push the costs down. And same thing with the extra bobbin that they included as well. Also had a whole bunch of plastic on the inside, so I have to go and actually use full bobbins for that, or bobbins, if they're called bobbins, I don't know. I think bobbins are the ones that go underneath, the little ones. Anyway, so full yarn rolls for that at some point. Anyway, so those were kind of like a little bit cheaty, because it looks, you think that you're getting quite a bit of yarn there, or thread again, but it's only like maybe 20% of what it looks like it's got on there. And so you're out suddenly and you're like, why is my thread not going through anymore? What's happening? And then it turns out that you have plastic on the back instead of actual thread. So I had to put new thread on there. But the things I was making, I have now finished. So now I have 10 of those rags sitting in, on my countertop. And I'm also looking to make handkerchiefs, like small ones, because I tend to notice like I don't really want to use too much tissue paper if I don't have to. And usually the tissue paper that you get in those packages, they're pretty big. If you unfold them, they're pretty huge. But I don't like reusing the same piece of tissue paper. Like, as soon as I've used it, for instance, like clean my nose or something, I don't want to have to pull that out of my pocket again half an hour later if I want to do something else with it, because then it's already been used and it's gross. So I want to make small handkerchiefs that I can use for like one time and then wash. and that'll be like maybe a quarter the size of one of those paper tissues, so that I don't have to waste so much cloth either. I don't want to have like a handkerchief sitting in my pocket that's being used a bunch of times like people used to do, but that was apparently a normal thing, but it kind of grosses me out, so I don't want that. Anyway, another news update on my dad. I got a message from my uncle, I think on Tuesday, saying that he had been called by his fiance, by my dad's fiance, and she claims that he doesn't like it when we visit anymore, so we should stop that. And my uncle was like, I don't believe that for a second. And he didn't say that to her, I'm pretty sure, otherwise it would have turned into an argument. But he says to me, I don't believe that, and I agree, I don't believe that either. So, and then my uncle says to me, we should do something. And I'm thinking, well, what should we do? Because my dad is so stubborn, I've already told you about that. If we were to try and talk to him about this, whatever she says is gospel, and even if he does agree with us in the moment, he'll talk to her eventually, sometime later that day, mention it probably, what we said, and then she's going to start closing down even more, like closing him down even more, because she's really trying to isolate him even more now than she used to, because she was so upset by the fact that we started visiting during the week, I guess, I don't know, to avoid running into her on the weekends, because he's with her now on the weekends. And if we were to tell him that maybe he should try to take care of something like for his finances or something along those lines, he probably wouldn't appreciate that, because he really thinks she's awesome. So if we were to say like, hey, maybe you want to take care of this or that, first of all, I can't tell him that because he doesn't listen to me at all. And if his brother would be able to tell him that, he'd probably be upset, because that means that we really don't like his fiancée. What's wrong with you guys? She's great, blah, blah, blah. So I don't think we're going to be able to do a whole lot. So I'm asking around to see what my options are. I'm not expecting much, but we'll see. I at least want to check some options, and if nothing is able to be done, then we'll just have to wait and see what happens next. I don't think that my dad's going to figure it out on his own, unfortunately. Because of course he's got this dementia thing going on, and so maybe we can do something with the dementia, as in register that somewhere so that he is unable to sign certain things, maybe. I don't know, because I think after a while, particularly if you've already been pulled off the road for ghost driving, I would think that people would no longer be considered capable of certain types of contract signing and all that sort of thing. So hopefully we can register that somewhere, and then that'll maybe help a thing or two. It won't make him happy, obviously, if he suddenly finds that he can't do anything anymore, at least not officially, because he still thinks that he is the young guy that he used to be, even though everything is falling apart, basically. And like I said, maybe I mentioned it last time that he wanted to get a little scooter. No, I don't think I mentioned that. But he really, really doesn't want anything to do with being older. And so he was like, oh, I'm going to get a little scooter because he can't drive anymore. Like, he can't drive a car. I'm like, oh, scooter, but you need to, like, have good balance for a scooter. Otherwise, you're going to be laying in the shoulder every couple minutes. Shoulder of the road. He's like, no, I ride bicycles sometimes. I'm like, oh, okay, sure, since when? But okay, he thinks he can do that. So then I suggest, like, oh, what about a mobility scooter that has like 3 wheels and stuff like that? It's pretty stable, but then he doesn't want that because that's for old people. Same thing with those 45-kilometer cars. We have these tiny little cars that look a bit like smart cars, but they can only go up to a certain speed, like whatever you be able to drive downtown or something along those lines. So you have a roof over your head, you got 4 wheels under you so you can't fall over, and you can't go too fast either, but you can travel around the area to go to the grocery store or whatever it is that you need to do. They're very handy, but he doesn't want those either because those are also for old people. Although recently, since I think late 90s, maybe early 2000s, there have been some new models coming out of those little 45-kilometer cars, and they look pretty good. They don't look like old, like the old ones used to do. The look like shoe boxes on wheels. Now they actually look like small cars that actually some young people drive when they don't yet have a driver's license. Like when they're before 18, I think between 16 and 18, some kids that have parents with a lot of money, they will get one of those tiny 45-kilometer cars so they can actually drive around and take a passenger with them and just do their thing. Until they actually get a driver's license and get their first actual car. But they're not really bad looking anymore. But now my dad's excuse is, yeah, but if I'm on the road, I want to be able to take over people, and I want to be able to keep up with traffic, and blah, blah, blah. Because he wants to, like, fully participate in traffic and this and that, which is understandable. I don't think anybody is waiting to turn in their driver's license, but still, with something like that, you would be able to keep driving around, which would be your independence, right? Otherwise, you can't go anywhere unless you have to call a taxi cab or something. So that is the updates so far. We're checking out our options. I don't know if we're going to be able to find anything, and if we haven't got an option, then that's also an answer. Then we just don't have an option, and all we can do is wait. And that's all we'll be able to do then. We'll see what we have. In the meantime, nothing else interesting is happening. It is spring, finally. The gas prices are going up, so now is a great time to get a very economical car, just like the one I'm currently driving. A lot of people wouldn't want to drive one of these if they had the money to drive something better, because it's just very simple and small and doesn't look super great. Maybe, I don't know, I think it looks okay. But it goes, I think, officially it could go 1 in 60, like gallons. So how many miles per gallon that is, and that's not bad. If you see some of the people, particularly in the States, complaining about how much a gallon costs these days, which in some places is between $4 and $5, and a gallon, if you were to get a gallon of gas in the Netherlands, I think a gallon is about 4 liters, and we are currently paying a little over €2 per liter. I need to stop recording soon because my battery's about to die. Anyway, so about €2 per liter, so you would have to pay $8 per gallon around here, I think. Yeah. And we're probably going to go higher. We're probably going to reach the $10 per gallon, but it's always been more expensive here. And I think the Netherlands is actually more expensive than most European countries. I think Norway is the only one that's more expensive than us. So we are used to this, but it's also not great. Anyway, I'm going to go because my battery's about to die. Hope you'll have a nice weekend. I'll see you next week for some Stardew Valley and some Minecraft, I think it is. No, not Minecraft. Don't Starve, I think, is on Friday. So we'll see you then. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.